When I step up on a diamond, 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 diamonds on my wrist. When I step up on
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back. The Freight Coach Morning Show, the top transportation morning show in this industry. We have a very special guest with you guys. As you guys can see here, Jennifer, what's going on? She's with the TMSA. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic as always. I can't complain. I mean, honestly, it's gotten to the point now where I think people think I'm joking when I say I'm living my dream, but I legitimately am living my dream right now. And it is absolutely insane to me that I get to do this every day. You know, like it's wild. It's wild that here we are, but you know, it's also the more wild thing is we're just getting started. You know, like there's no stopping right now. And that's what I love the absolute most is the opportunities that are coming. And at the end of the day, it's all because, you know, just hit start and started. And that so Jennifer's actually here because I'm going to be speaking at the conference in June in Orlando. It's at a phenomenal hotel. My son is super pumped to go. He's
same.
Like,
this
is out there. Sonny, what's going on? Good morning. Genevieve, how are you? Or I'm sorry, I think I might have just messed up your Genevieve. Yeah, maybe. Sorry if I butchered your name there. Before though we jump into today, I got to give a shout out to my friends over at VHub. You guys, they are the future of freight, in my opinion. Their asset reutilization platform is like the thing to use right now. Whether you're a trucking company or you're a broker or like you guys, creating a drop trailer pool and having access to trailers is never going to hinder your operation by any stretch of the imagination. Just using their product alone as a broker, you know, like just think about it. How many times do you guys cold call shippers and they're like, they don't want to work with you because you don't have any assets. Well, now you can. Like, you know, so I'm gonna pull some stuff up here. Hey, good morning, Samantha. Yeah, we got a bunch of people dropping in. I love it. I love the energy we already got rocking here. So what I'm going to do is I got some stuff to show you. So they have some trailers available, you know, like, as you guys can see at the bottom of my screen is the round trip opportunities that are out there right now. And I'm going to show you what it is. You can see this one is out of like Illinois and stuff, but there's also ones that they have going out into out of Pennsylvania and everything. So there we go. There it is. As you can see, this is out of York, Pennsylvania, and this shows the one-way repositionings that they have. And as you can see, you can get paid. The carrier can get money on this, and that's on top of the money that you guys make on those shipments to send out there. So this one's out of York, PA, and then as you can see, it goes up into Coteau du Lac, which is just outside of Montreal. And then they also have stuff going up into Toronto and everything as well. And from there, as soon as my screen, come on now. And then from there, you guys, like there's other options. These graphics, just give me a second here. Why is this not working? I'm a startup, you guys. I'm figuring all this out. I've never once tried to act like I have it all going for me. But anyways, they have these loadout opportunities that are here. And from there, you get into also have some out of like Glade Spring, Virginia. And there's some that are going up into Canada and everything. And here, I'm going to show you this one as well. And, you know, again, it's like using this and bringing this information to your customer is going to be key. It's always about what value can you add into your customer. All right. And that's it right there, you guys, is they have those repositionings available. They have all of that stuff available for you to check it out. And then, you know, with the round trips and everything else, again, it's like, what value can you add in any market? And this is it. This is the value that you guys are looking for. So reach out to my man, Xavier Campos over there. He's your point of contact. He can help you guys out with all of that. And then also I got to give a shout out to my friends over at Bitfreighter, you guys. It's one of those things that, these guys help bring this content to you guys every single day. They're longtime supporters of the show, and they're on a mission to connect the logistics industry with a flat fee for EDI messaging. Carriers and brokers alike, if you are still paying EDI character charges on transaction-based fees with setup costs, you are costing yourself money. You're paying EDI fees for the loads you decline. These guys have flipped the EDI pricing model upside down with their unlimited EDI messaging pricing and their managed EDI services. It is no longer an expensive and unattainable or painful process, which I'm not a tech person clearly here, as you guys just saw. Bitfreighter's managed EDI platform is fully integrated with TMS providers like PCS, DAT, Revenova, and EasyLoader to provide a seamless and transition for all of your EDI needs. If you guys are ready to learn more, visit them at www.bitfreighter.com and just do me a favor, let them know that the Freight Coach sent you. They have multiple other integrations as well that are out there. And yeah, that's it. Jennifer, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Jennifer was on the panel with me at the TIA. We're on social media and everything. And, so like, what is the TMSA? Well, how, to kind of put that out there, because I hadn't really heard of you guys up until last year. And I know that that's a big mission for you right now, is to get that and get out in front of a bunch of people.
Absolutely. So we are the Transportation Marketing and Sales Association. And I always laugh because it's kind of like it's all in the name, but you still have to explain it more. So we really are, we're a trade nonprofit that's dedicated to education, networking, events, all of the things that people in sales and marketing roles inside transportation and logistics could be looking for. It's kind of crazy because the association has gone through a lot of different evolutions, but it's actually been around for almost 100 years, which is nuts. I would love to know what people were chatting about for marketing 100 years ago. But I took on the association as executive director at the beginning of this year. So I fell in love with TMSA probably like 5 years ago was when I first came in, and I was an affiliate member. I worked in the tech space, selling into transportation, and I just came to my first conference, loved it, joined the education committee, and then last year got even more involved, joining the board. And so when it came time for kind of new leadership, I threw my hat in the ring, and I was like, I believe in this association so much. I love its potential. But as you said, like, part of that's like, how do we get people to know what we are and who we are? How do we get that brand recognition? How do we build? And that has been a really fun and exciting challenge this year to kind of get that out into the market.
No, definitely. Appearing on the Freight Coach morning show is definitely a great way to get some of that exposure out there. It's wild. But that's the thing though, is it's like, I joined the TMSA because at the end of the day, you guys, there is so much power in networking and being around individuals who are like-minded and about that. And I know, cause like I see my DMs, I see people all the time like, hey, where do I start? What do I do? And getting involved in, like, so at this conference alone, like the panel, or excuse me, the session that I'm talking about is building your brand from nothing. I mean, I literally 2 years ago, you guys, I was unemployed. I had no idea what the fuck I was going to do with my life. And in 2 short years of consistently putting out content, whether it's good or bad or not, showing up every single day and building out that brand. I mean, in my opinion, I have the most recognizable brand in the entire fucking industry right now. And that is because it's a relentless pursuit of doing all of that. And, being around at this conference, I mean, there's a lot, like my friends over at Emerge, they're going to be there. CH Robinson, they're going to be there. I mean, my friend Kara Smith Brown, she's an absolute badass as well with lead coverage. She's going to be there. Christy Nichol, she's going to be there. There's a bunch of people coming into this.
Yes.
Like this is not like a small event by any stretch of the imagination, you guys. Like this is a very big deal. And I think people need to check this out. So
thank you. Yeah, the biggest, it's kind of funny because even if companies are really big for the most part in transportation and logistics, I mean, some of the biggest companies have big departments, but that was one of the things that I really found most interesting was, even if a company is big, it still has a small marketing and sales department. And they're typically like your director of marketing is directing the marketing, not like directing other people to help execute the marketing. And where are those people coming together to bounce ideas off of each other and to network and have brainstorming and have these like-minded individuals? And that's what we're all about. And I love the conference so much because you just get to just immerse yourself in that so much. And one of the favorite things in the surveys we always get back are 2 things that we do. The first thing is the first event that we have when you walk in is a speed networking event. And that's great because if you're brand new and you don't know anyone, you can really just have those 2-minute conversations where you put it all out there as quickly as possible, hear about other people. And then when you go to that cocktail reception that follows and through the rest of the conference, you kind of already have your bearings. You know some people. It really helps kind of break the ice. And then the other big thing that people really love, besides all the awesome content and all the networking, but we have this lunch roundtable, which is like a moderated working lunch with the top trending topics that are going on in sales and marketing in the industry right now. And it's just like 8 to 10 people sitting at the table talking about their experiences. And that has been so invaluable for me and anyone else I've talked to about that, because it's just, there isn't a guard up on those things. No one's sharing trade secrets, but no one is so guarded and being like, oh no, we're never going to talk about that because you're technically a competitor or could be. It's really just, hey, we're all dealing with these problems. Let's talk about it and see what some of the solutions are.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Samantha Bass is in the audience. Good morning. Stephen Peterson, CJ, Phoenix. I'm telling you guys right now, Phoenix is the freight alley of the West Coast. Just throwing that out there. There's a ton of people out here. Phoenix is on the fucking map. Daniela, good morning. Emmanuel, good morning. Here we are. So also the week, literally like the week or so prior to the conference is this little thing called International Road Check. Again, this is your daily reminder that they're going to be checking wheel end components out there. Get your truck scheduled for that preventative maintenance right now. This is also day 19 of the Freight Coach Tally. This shit's been going on for a lot longer, but day 19 of the Freight Coach Morning Show Tally of there being a truck parking issue, as well as facilities that are not allowing drivers to utilize the restrooms. Again, I see multiple signs of this, but I won't let this shit die. I'm not doing this for clicks. I'm not doing this for vanity metrics. I'm doing this for progress, you guys. I'm doing this for education, and we need to step up and put down the armor, put down the swords, and actually come to a solution that is mutually beneficial for all of us. That doesn't mean we all win. That doesn't mean we all lose. We got to be about progress here. Also, the national average for diesel is actually, it's the national average for gold, I think is what we should start fucking calling it, because it's $5.50 a gallon right now for diesel. So the national average of price of gold is now up to $550 exactly is what it is pretty much like. All right. Well, that's kind of it for our announcements and everything here. Jennifer's going to break down some articles with us right now. And this first one is from the ttnews.com. I'm citing all my sources. I try and do that. And also, you guys, I put links to all the articles over on my YouTube channel and everything, so you can check them out and read all these articles. And again, this is just my perspective on this stuff. Am I right? Absolutely not. I'm not always right, but I've worked in this industry for a very long time, so I think I've earned the right to talk about some of these things. So the title of the article, Industry Reacts to FMCSA's Plan on Heavy Truck Speed Limiters. And this has got a shitload of backlash. A metric shitload of backlash out there. And it's, to me, I am not a fan of governments telling us what to do at all under any circumstances. I am a fan of the framework of this in the fact of educating drivers the benefits of regulating the speed on your engine. That's what I'm, or also, and then taking it a step further, doing some case studies out there about reducing the wear and tear on your equipment and everything else. I mean, Jennifer, I want to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, that was really, when I read these articles, one, I think if you're in a marketing or sales role, it's incredibly important to still understand what's going on in an industry, especially one like this that consistently moves. So like I've tried to dedicate myself to reading 2 to 3 articles per day, which honestly, I love this morning show, because then if I'm not going to, I will make sure I check it out. So I still stay educated, but there's always something going on. And to be able to produce the best content, to be able to really understand our target audience and who we're selling to, it's important to know what's going on with them. And I would say, if we're looking at drivers specifically, I think the really most important thing that we can do as marketers is thinking about, what does this type of regulation, what does that mean for our truck drivers? How is it actually going to affect them day to day? And then producing that type of content for them and thinking about how they want to receive that content. I always think it's kind of funny when companies will be like, okay, we're going to produce a white paper on this topic. Well, are your drivers going to sit down and read a white paper? Probably not. Maybe if they really care about the topic, but have you thought about doing more podcasts or audio content that they can listen to like while they're on their drive, or making short snippets on social media while they're scrolling through. It's really important to think about who your audience is and how they're going to receive that information and actually what's important to them. This is a lot of information to unpack, and giving them that information of like, this is how this could affect you. This is how it could affect our company, and keeping it with that in mind.
Yeah. See, this is exactly what I wanted to have Jennifer on here, because Jennifer and I have had conversations about how a lot of the stuff that's putting out there is just a major miss from a marketing perspective. I think that the intent behind this is positive, but the messaging behind it is atrocious. Like literally telling somebody, and I think that that's what it is it's like, I think people do not want to be told what to do. That's why like people flock to live in the United States of America, is because of the fucking freedom of it and the freedom to run your business the way that you want. And again, I see both sides of it, but again, it's like, if you're going to talk about this, I think from a marketing perspective, it's about the benefits and the cost savings that you can bring to an organization by implementing something along these lines. Not telling them you have to do this, but saying and breaking down the fuel savings alone. I mean, with fuel, or the price of gold being what it is right now out there, to me, taking that information and showing what, if you self-regulate your engine at 65 miles an hour, for example, the cost savings over running it at 75 miles an hour, and how you can take that additional saved capital to pay off your loans or to put money away for a rainy day for preventative maintenance and everything else. That is exactly how you need to market this shit. Not, hey, we're coming in to tell you how to run your business. I think that's the major miss with all of this stuff.
Yeah. And just even if you're a company and you want to educate your own team, how are you relaying that information? And just because like I'll see sometimes people are like, okay, like I want to show that we pay attention to what's going on in the market. And so you'll share information from other sources, but you're not always putting in how this is relevant specifically to the people who are paying attention to your brand. So it's great that you're paying attention to industry articles and sharing that information, but how are you adding to what's already there? Like, how are you really catering it to the people that are paying attention to you?
No, absolutely. It's a good read. Check it out. It's on ttnews.com. The industry headline is Industry Reacts to FMCSA Plans on Heavy Duty Truck Speed Limiters. The ATA, the OIDA, they're all in there. Putting their name out there. I love Chris Spear. He's the president of the ATA. I'm a big fan of that guy a lot. So anytime I see his name, I'm clicking on that. Like, he's the ultimate clickbait if I'm going to read some of these headlines or not. Because if he's chiming in on it, I just appreciate his perspective. He was on my podcast a while ago. There's just, from my opinion, off of the brief conversation that I've had with the guy, there's just no bullshit associated with him. He's just very matter of fact and to the point, from my perspective out there. So again, check it out, ttnews.com. Second article. Oh, Vitali, welcome to the show. I'm glad, man. I'm glad that more facilities are listening to that driver feedback on this stuff. It's all about delivery. Amen. LinkedIn user, please update your security settings just so I can see who you are. Or else just like send me a DM that you're coming, because I feel bad. Like, because everybody else's names popped up. And I have it narrowed down. It's like, it's either Matt Fink or Todd Waldron. Those are the two that are generally here all the time. Who's out there. Emmanuel, you need a truck stop. Where are you, Emmanuel? If you need a truck stop, maybe, I can't give you directions or anything like that, but I can drop it into Google for you quick and try and help you out. Second article from FreightWaves. Should the freight rail industry be overhauled? There's probably no elegant solution to structurally fix rail service. That's rail is pretty much the oldest form of transportation outside of horse and buggy in this country. And so this is a well-written article. Again, I give credit where credit is due. That's out there. Scott, what's up, brother? Freight Sensei. Scott, you guys need to get out here to the TMSA, man. You guys need to join Armstrong. You guys need to get out there. Scott's awesome. I love it. All right, so this article: service disruptions at the Class 1 railroads have come to head in recent weeks, and shippers and the unions representing rail workers are clamoring for changes to the freight rail industry of a magnitude to match the disruptions. Some examples of subpar rail service: excessive dwell times at the origin, resulting in the doubling of transit times between the Midwest and West Coast for grain shippers, and tardy arrivals that pressure flour and feed mills and ethanol plants to temporarily cease operations and curtail production. Meanwhile, National Grain and Feed Association estimates that that the combined cost to the grain industry of revenue losses and additional freight expenses was over $100 million just in the first quarter of 2022. The Surface Transportation Board is considering short-term measures such as submissions of rail service improvement plans to address these issues. The measures would potentially provide immediate relief to shippers and could be deployed within 30 to 60-day timeframe. However, the board, the railroad, and rail stakeholders are under pressure to tackle tough questions in ways that could comprehensively affect the railroads, how they run their operations. The questions are also on the long-term health and viability of freight, rail, and the transportation sector bent on automated future. Sorry, I'm out of breath on that one. That was a lot, but there was like so much in the first, like I had to get it all in there. So, I mean, when it comes to rail, I think that it's how do you really make any changes to this process? You know, because there's a lot of different scenarios, and especially like this one's old school. And when you throw unions in on it, fucking whatever your personal opinion is on unions is irrelevant. They make it a little bit harder to make some changes. So like where are you at with some of this stuff?
So I was kind of excited that this was one of the articles you chose because I've been thinking about this kind of stuff for a couple of weeks. So before TIA, the week before TIA, I was at Modex and I went to this session and it was talking about the disruptions in the supply chain. I'm like, perfect. This is what everyone needs to go to and talk about. And DeAndre Leary, who's with Norfolk Southern Corp, was on that panel and he said some really, really cool stuff. And he was talking about how like, you might just need to challenge the perspective that yesterday is coming back because it probably won't. Like it may not come back. And we've just got to really challenge the norm on who the rail is going to be in the future. And I kind of liked it. I have a young son. So he was like, when you think about the railroads, you think about like your childhood, Thomas the Tank Engine, like what is he hauling? Like he has coal and crude oil. And then they also do the grain and the industrial products. But he's like, where he sees the biggest change going on is in that intermodal, expanding those capabilities. And he said the biggest thing that he's seeing with his customers in the marketplace in general is that they are demanding optionality and turning to the rail to be that kind of solution partner. So making those investments and those changes. And so it's really fascinating. Like I actually wrote an entire article that's still sitting on my desktop because I just don't know what to do with it because there was so much information. They had people from kind of all sides of the supply chain there. But I think with that, what I really liked about what he was saying is just also you're changing the narrative. You're accepting this might be something completely different that we're walking into. And so if we think about it on that marketing or sales side, how are we changing the language and the messaging? I see this kind of as like a big branding experiment. Like, okay, we want them to see us differently. We want to acknowledge maybe some of the shortcomings that we're having, but trying to figure out the solutions. Like you said at the beginning, like you pulled up your screen and it wasn't perfect, but you're like, hey, I'm figuring this out as I go. Is there something that we can be doing like that to try new things and to work together? And is there a way that we can kind of twist that narrative to make everyone a team player on it?
Yeah, no, I agree. It's one of those things. So like, obviously transportation as a whole is very old school. It's very antiquated. It's very set in its ways, and change it's not always easily accepted. It's not very well received either by the intended audience. And again, back down to tying in marketing and everything else to it. It's all about the messaging behind it and in the intent. I think that, at the end of the day, when change is coming, it's not I think people need to, again, if I'm guilty of this, I don't intend it to be that way. People need to get off their fucking iron throne on how they're barking out how things are supposed to be done. I think that from that perspective, perception's everything. And I think that if you're going to be out there and you're going to try and actually make a change behind it, I get like talking about like, hey, there's some very real things that need to be changed, but don't stop right there. Provide a solution behind it. And if you're only out there to talk about the issue and not the solution, in my opinion, keep your goddamn mouth shut. That's my opinion.
That's some of my, when in our third article, that's some of my opinions.
Yeah. And hey, we'll get to that. I want to save the last 6 minutes for this one, because this is one that, so that one's over at Freight Waves. It should the freight rail industry be overhauled? And again, I have all the links to all these articles up on my YouTube channel, you guys, if you guys want to jump over there. And if you're not subscribed over there, do me a solid. Subscribe over there to me. I appreciate all your guys' support. Last article. from fleetowner.com. Women speak up about harassment in trucking. This one for me, I've had Tat on my show. I've had multiple female drivers on my show, and it's utterly disgusting to me. A lot of the stories that they say. Again, back to like, I think I was talking to somebody earlier today. It's like, where are your fucking parents at? Like, anyways, before I go off on a complete tangent for the next 6 minutes, driving, this started off with the driver, Virginia Clark, that she's always loved and been fascinated with the industry. Trucking hasn't always been kind to her. She started driving in the 1980s with no formal CDL. As one of the very few female truck drivers at the start of her career, Clark experienced physical violence, mental abuse, made just half the salary, 8 cents a mile versus 16 cents a mile of her male counterparts. But the industry has changed and continues to change for the better, Clark emphasized. When I was first hired, there weren't many women drivers. We weren't widely accepted in the industry, said during an April 20th joint virtual conference. Today, Clark drives for UPS, a Teamster, and is a local Teamster member. And she tells everybody that they need to do it. She emphasized the money is great, the benefits are excellent, and safety goes far. It's a lot safer now than it was 25 years ago. And then it included the Trucking Action Plan, which is a Women of Trucking Advisory Board. And for too long, widespread and often unchecked incidents of sexual assault, violence, and harassment in the trucking industry have damaged lives, destroyed careers, and steered women away from pursuing trucking jobs. And said event moderator Wendy Chun-Hoon, excuse me. The day of action is an important step toward bringing industry stakeholders together to denounce sexual violence and harassment, effect meaningful change, and we hope to inspire similar actions in a historically male-dominated industry. Before you go, Jennifer, I'll fucking say that is fucking despicable if you're out there doing that. If you're a male and you're doing that shit to women, fuck you. All right, that's my opinion. You're a piece of shit, and I'll keep it at that. And now I'll let you go from there.
Okay, so this is a big topic. For me, it was interesting because it was kind of two of my personal worlds colliding. So obviously I'm a female, so I care about things like this, but I also volunteer with the Ohio Alliance to End Sexual Violence. And we had our advocacy day last week, and I missed this particular portion of the day because I was taking my kid to daycare, but my friend was like, oh my God, they're talking about like sexual violence and trucking. And they're like, and so she was like, this is literally like your two worlds crashing together. And I said, yes. And I think it's really important. And I like that. I mean, you took a very firm stance, but I think that's good because it shouldn't just be women having these conversations. I think in general, not just in the industry, but as a society, we kind of learn that we should start caring about things when they're happening to us. And I think that's, a problem. Like we should start caring about things, whether they affect us directly or not. And when I think about building a culture like this, it's who is talking about this? Do you just have women? Is it men and women? Is it just drivers? Is it everyone in your company? How are you actually building a company culture that has like a no nonsense policy and that there is actionable items that happens if this type of behavior happens? And then how are you, I mean, because of course I'm here to talk about like the marketing and sales side of things, but I do teach social media marketing at a community college, and we have a whole piece about purpose-driven marketing. And that more and more people, especially as younger generations come into the workplace, we care more and more and are putting more value on what you're doing to culture and things like that than just about like how much money they can make. So if you have this really strong company culture, if you are one of those people that are standing against this type of behavior, how are you broadcasting that and celebrating that and working with things like TAT or Women in Trucking? Like, how are you part of the solution? And that's like when you said in the last one, like if you're not part of the solution and you're just going to talk about it, like sit down. That's how I feel on this topic. Like, don't just say, oh yeah, sexual harassment is bad, because everyone should agree on that.
That should be a universally accepted approach.
But what are you doing to make sure that that's not happening for your truckers and in your communities?
Yeah, I think to me, it's just like a lot of issues that are out there is people only post about them when it can drive traffic to them, because like they have to. It's like this shit should be screamed at the mountaintops until this shit's fucking taken care of. All right. Like there needs to be an all out coordinated effort to curb this. Now, again, there's not There's no perfect solution. There's no easy solution to this. But if you're not a member of Truckers Against Trafficking TAT or something like that, and you're not there on the lookout, it's like, what? Because again, I think like a lot of people are always, to me, they're like, well, what can I do? It starts in your community. It starts with raising your kids the right way to speak up against shit like this. When you see this, when you see something, contact the authorities. Don't turn a blind eye. Don't say, oh, it's not me. No, fuck that. Stand up for people. Stand up for the most vulnerable people that are out there and shit's happening to them. If we want change, we have to be the fucking change. And this is it. Like, no person out there should feel threatened or unsafe when they're doing their job in this regard or any regard. And if you're going to sit back and keep your mouth shut, again, fuck you. You're part of the problem, in my opinion. If you're not going to openly speak up, if you're an organization and you're not actively working with your staff about this stuff, you are fucking just as bad as the perpetrators, in my opinion, because that means you're staying silent. And that's a fucking problem. Sorry,
it's a really sensitive topic, and thanks, Scott, for noticing my Be the Light. On the other side, it says don't live in the shadows, and then it says be the light. And I have a barn door, so you just see it and then it slides open. But that was something, I think it's that it actually correlates into this. But yeah, like, don't just kind of be living in the shadows or stepping back, be part of the solution. And one of the reasons why I got involved with the Ohio Alliance to End Sexual Violence was because I wanted to learn how to be a proper advocate. I do think we live in a society where like cancel culture is also like really real. And sometimes it's a lot of bad people, but sometimes it's good people just trying to find the right things. And how can we educate people to have that proper training, to stand up, to understand the right and wrong ways to do things? Do you have a way for people to call out behavior in a way that's safe to them and to build awareness? Yes. And all of those things. So I think that's a really big piece of the puzzle, is building that infrastructure to support people wanting to do the right thing as well.
Absolutely. That article is out on fleetowner.com. Again, it's titled that is Women Speak Up About Harassment in Trucking. I try and keep this down to 30 minutes, you guys. But this one's going to go over a little bit. And it was this article that was out there. And again, it's just like, if you want change, I can't stress, be the fucking change that you're looking for. All right. Like, do more. All right. Just do more with that. We're going to kind of wrap this up though. So again, you guys, Jennifer, she's a friend of mine. She was on my panel at the TIA, and then I'm going to be speaking at the TMSA conference here in June. It's at Disney World. It's like 2 minutes from Disney World. I'm bringing my wife and my son out there. So they're going to go hang out at Disney. Florida in June. I mean, I've never been to Florida, but I mean, I hope it's not completely terribly humid at that point in time.
So, and the best part, so it's June 5th through 7th, and it's at the Gaylord Palm. So if you've never been to the Gaylord, it's kind of like you're outside inside. So even if it is too hot outside, you can still just see all the pretty greenery and all that stuff. We have a great lineup and conference. You can learn more about it at events.tmsatoday.org. And we have a great lineup of speakers and a lot of great people coming to the show. And I hope that you guys are all one of them. And yes, excited. My son is also coming, and I will say he saw the water slide. And he's like, "Mommy, that's where your conference should be."
Right.
As if he actually gets to say it, but I guess he does, because that is where we picked. So
little does he know, I'm going to be on the water slide too, because water slides are fucking awesome. Sorry, I'm a large child. Anyways, all right, you guys, that's it for today's show. I appreciate you guys all so much. And again, be involved, get active. And let's be the change we're looking for in freight, you guys. I appreciate you guys all. Tomorrow, we'll be back 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Central for the top morning show in transportation. I appreciate you guys all so much. And we're going to be talking to you guys